Well, hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Buddhist Biohacker. This is the November Awakening Event 2020 edition, and today is truly the start of our lives for this event. We have a few this week, and then we go into next week. And Satyam, I couldn't imagine a better person to talk to today. My energy is all over the place with this election energy in the planet. So welcome back, and I'm glad we have your grounding force today.
Oh, I hope I can pull through for you, but I'm so happy to hear and to be here. Always great, and I think our whole topic will be a nice complement to today's tension of the election, and we'll get this together here. Yeah, great to be here with you as always.
Oh, I'm so happy to have you. And just a reminder, everybody, I do have my gold ribbon on for nonviolence. We are taking a stand against violence in the words and the actions and all those things. And so we are starting a movement with the gold ribbons. I have 200 of them. Yes, I do. So if you would like me to mail you a gold ribbon, you can send your mailing address to mail, M-A-I-L, at Lisa M. Gunshore. And everyone who makes a donation or becomes a patron of the Light Library will also get sent a special gold ribbon as a thank you. And I also have our new shirts on, so you guys can order these at lisamgunshore.com. We have so many great ones on there, but I've got my gold ribbon on today for sure. So just a little reminder for everybody. And Satyam, I'm excited to talk about fasting because I've been keto for many years, like off and on. I can't say I'm like a psychotic keto person, but I've been very keto because it supports my system, my energy, and my genes. But fasting in the biohacking world, my God, I've attended so many online conferences about fasting. So I'm really excited actually to dig in to the yogic system of fasting. So I'm really excited to talk to you about this today because I am a faster. I do fast most days. And if I'm working with clients and doing readings, I actually fast as well. I don't like to eat when I'm doing spiritual work until I'm complete. So let's dive in.
Okay, very, very good. So one of the main question is, why should human beings fast, right? And then we can get into how and the health benefits and spiritual benefits and what it does for the mind. But the question is, why should we fast? And it always brings one story to mind. One day we had this guy come to our house to work on one of our outdoor systems with electrical and our generator system, and there was also a gas tank involved for the generator. And the guy was a mechanical borderline genius, and he's explaining the whole system to us. And while he's talking to us, he had a big wad of chew in his mouth, and with one kind of motion, he spit out the chew and lit a cigarette. And then he's talking to us, and he says, "You gotta flush the system." And he was talking about the mechanical system of the tank. But what I'm getting at here is that everybody knows that every system in this universe needs to be flushed, whether it be your car radiator, whether it be any mechanical system. And those mechanical systems are inert. They don't generate back on their own, but they need to be flushed. The human system is much more dynamic. It's animate. It is far more complex, and our system also needs to be flushed. It needs cleansing. And just like every good auto mechanic and all those guys who work with all those various systems, they know that you have to flush. and cleanse out the system. Same thing with the human experience. And that it needs to be done. And so the yogis did that. And they say yoga is based on the greatest copycat game in the universe. And all the poses, our way of breathing is based on already naturally occurring phenomena in this cosmos. And the yogis observed that when the animals were sick, they didn't eat. They let the body heal itself. And food, when healthy and when you have an appetite, is great. But when you're not healthy and when you don't have an appetite, it can be a hindrance. It can clog the system, and it can interfere with the body's natural ability to heal itself. And so seeing that with the animals and knowing that everything needs flushing, the yogis came up with a system of fasting. And I want to give respect to all those who fast, there's lots of different pathways where people do maybe intermittent fasting, maybe it's for health purposes, or so anyone who's got any type of inclination towards fasting, bravo, that's a step in the right direction, no doubt about it. That's great. It shows that you have some intuitive feeling that we're not just eating machines, that it should be done there should be a method to the madness, a method to the way that we eat and the way that we don't eat. And the yogic system it's based on the moon, the lunar calendar. So, so why we fast is because, well, we talked about the physical reason to flush the system. It's also very good for clarity of mind. Just like you had said in your introduction, you like to do spiritual work on an empty stomach. I mean, the mind is clear when the stomach is empty, and one gets, I mean, many times we eat a full meal, and I know I love to just lie down for a few moments. It can be quite exhausting. So food can make the mind dull. So it brings psychic sharpness. And then there's also spiritual benefits. One is just the simple benefit of time. That how many hours in the day do we spend preparing our food, eating our food, and then cleaning up after the food? It may be 2 hours, maybe 3 hours, maybe 4 hours, depending on one's lifestyle. So all of a sudden, you've gained 2 to 4 hours that day, if it's a fasting day in the yogic system, which can then be applied for spiritual practice or in those types of pursuits. So that's the spiritual reason for it. And then the yogis discussed that, okay, so we have a physical body that needs cleansing. We have a mind that needs to be acutely sharp. We have a spiritual body that needs awakening and time to do it. So then what days should we fast on? And as I was hinting at, it's based on the lunar calendar. And the reason that it's based on that is that the moon it pulls those big oceans. It has a big effect on the tides. And it also has an effect on the human digestive system. It pulls our own body fluids. And by refraining from ingesting food on those days, it helps counteract the effect of the moon's pull when it's very, very strong. And those 4 days there's 2 days that are, the main 2 days in the yogic system of fasting is known as Ekadashi. Ek means 1, Das means 10. And so 1 plus 10 is 11. And the 11th day after the new and full moon are the 2 days in the yogic system of fasting. The 11th day after the new and full moon, because it clears the system in preparation of the coming of the pull of the full and new moon. And then I actually do 4 fasting days. And so I do what's called Purnima, which is the full moon fasting, and Amavasya, which is the new moon fasting. So every month I do four fasting days.
Wow, that's cool. I'm writing this down. So the 11th day after the new moon and the full moon, and then you also fast on the new moon and full moon?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And so by keeping the body empty, the stomach empty that day, it has an effect. And just like Luna, it has an effect on the mind as well. There's an interesting correlation between Luna and Luna means moon. And then we also have lunacy in English, lunacy, craziness. And that it has an effect on the mind. This is not just an old wives' tale that, people howl with the moon. It has an effect. We are intricately linked with each and every motion in this cosmos. And that pull of the moon has an effect on the human mind. They'll be able to prove this by science one day. It's not just some type of, just a fluky tale. It has an effect. And by counteracting that effect, it brings mental stability as well. So now we have why we would fast in a nutshell, physically, psychically, spiritually, and what days we would fast. The new and full, the Akadashi, the 11th day after the new and full moon, as well as the full moon day itself, if you wish, and the new moon day itself. And then the question is, how does this work? From the yogic system, what we would do is we do a dry fast. So from sunrise to sunrise. So that means if let's say I'm going to fast on a Tuesday, then that Tuesday morning, once that sun comes up, then now let me just say that dry fasting should only be done if one's in good health and has a good constitution. That's the only time it should be done. And that applies for most people. But if you have health conditions, then you might need to do a water fast that day, or maybe even a fruit fast. So let me say that we're going to talk about the gradations, and maybe new people to fasting will think, a dry fast, good luck, buddy. I am not doing that. But maybe we can talk about, we'll talk about how to use water, how to use fruits, how to maybe have a salad in the morning. There's different ways to still get the great benefits and to ease into the process as you gain confidence with it.
Mm-hmm. And so a dry fast is nothing.
Nothing.
Okay.
Nothing.
And water even or nothing?
Nothing.
Okay.
No. Let me say this. I've been dry fasting on a regular basis since 1991.
Oh, wow.
So, and I never missed a days. From 1991 to 97, I did 2 a month. January 1st, 1997, I transferred to 4 a month. So now, I find that it works. I find that's my saving grace, that day comes around and it equalizes the body, and whatever bad, it just cleanses me, it clears me, it allows the body to heal, and I rarely ever get sick. In 16 years, I've never had I teach yoga 6 or 7 days a week. I've never had to cancel a class due to not feeling well. So that's documented. My students know. Nope, for 16 years, no, never. And I attribute that primarily to fasting, to clearing, to letting the body heal itself in ways that it's such a unique thing, the human experience. The body is always trying to heal itself. And what do we do as human beings? We impede the process. Mm-hmm. We think we're so smart. And we impede the process by doing all sorts of things that lead the body to downfall. And then the body's trying to kick it up into gear, whether you're taking alcohol, whether you're eating meat, whether you're so many different things that we do, which inhibit the body's wellness and the body's working. And all those cells, they never take a moment off. They're constantly working, the whole cellular factory, to get the body as best it can be. And by not eating or drinking that day, this Western medical science has come up with the idea that the body starts doing cellular housekeeping. just like when you clean your hard drive, and it can clean out the bad sectors. You know, you set the program in motion to clean up the hard drive, to put the bad sectors away, to maximize the space on your hard drive and the computer system. Same thing here. The cells are working, and if they don't have to digest food that day, if they don't have to be, you know, to do all that other work, they are free. And when they're free, they don't hang around and sit on the couch. They get into action, and they cleanse, and they purify, and they do cellular housekeeping. And this is by Western medicine. There's a special name for it, which I cannot recall. It's one of those 17-letter words. But if you look up cellular housekeeping, you'll come up with the medical term for it.
Yeah, I think it's autophagy. I never say it quite right, but I think autophagy is what it is.
I believe that's exactly right. Good for you.
Yes.
That's right.
Well, in the biohacking community, fasting is a huge part of it. I mean, I think every biohacker talks about it. And for me, I have genetic mutations that don't methylate the body effectively. And 26% of the population have at least one of these mutations. So fasting, like you're talking about, is so important because there's cells that are weak or dying that aren't doing the job, and fasting can help kill those off. It forms new cells, and it does the housekeeping that you're talking about. It's really important to clean your genes through fasting. So yeah, autophagy, and you can do it through fasting. You can do it through cold, like running in the ice cold, or you've heard a lot about people dipping in ice cold water and things. That also is a form of autophagy. But yeah, there you go.
Nice. Very good. Excellent. Yeah. So so that works. That's great. And that housekeeping process is very helpful for our overall health and energy. And basically, the yogis say that we become, in this materialistic society, we became so weak that if we get, and either for mental stress or just to physical, we think that without food we'll perish. That and when it's not like that. We actually get our energy from 5 areas: food and drink, water, air. And then the last, food and drink, water, air, light. Those are 4. And then the kicker, 5, our thoughts. You get a good thought, and that mind will zing. It'll go. Just like someone's feeling morose, they get a call from a friend. Hey, how are you? And all of a sudden, it triggers a good thought process, and they don't feel morose anymore. They feel energized. They feel well. So those 5 qualities. And so why should we be just so utterly grossly dependent on food, clog up our systems, and suffer from all sorts of ailments by eating under stress when we don't need to? And the way to check that system is by fasting, to explore those other avenues from which you can tap into energy. And so that is, and then this is a training that goes on. And it's great. And the yogic system is so good because it is regular. I know there are some people who like to do this, the hot water, Tabasco, or some type of fasting they like to do once a year. They do it once a year for like 10 days. And what I would say to that is, okay, that's good. But sometimes you're busy that time of year and you can't do it. Then next thing you know, you've done it every other year or every 2 years or every 3 years. But if you think of it pardon the analogy, but if you think about it like cleaning any aspect of your human experience, it needs regularity. And the more short the intervals, then the more pristine the system will be. So 4 of those a day, 4 of those a month work extremely well. Excuse me. Yeah. So 4 of those a month work very well. And I want to address this idea before getting into that I'll be too weak. I'll be weak. I won't be able to do. And let me say this, that as you get into the yogic fasting, What you normally can do on your normal day, you'll be able to do on fasting day. On breaking fast day admittedly is a time that you need, and we're going to talk about breaking fast. But the day of the fast, it's not like you just have to stay in bed all day. It doesn't. You'll have energy. For instance, when I first began fasting, I lived in California. I used to bike 16 miles each way to work, and my work schedule was from 3 p.m. to midnight. So when I would cycle home, it was midnight, and if that was my fasting day, it had been probably 24 hours before since I ate or drank. But because that was my regular schedule to pedal, to bicycle every day to work, I could maintain that on a fasting day. Now I teach upwards of 2 to 4 yoga classes a day. I've taught hundreds and hundreds of yoga classes or days where because I'm used to that. That's my normal. Now, if someone said, go run 12 miles on a fasting day, I'm not a runner right these days anymore, so of that nature. So I would not do that. And obviously, if it's 100 degrees outside, you don't want to expose yourself. But within reason, what is your normal schedule and calendar? One can typically do. It's not like you have to shelve your entire life that day. You can carry on.
Mm-hmm. Well, and if anything, don't you think you want to? Because I think when I'm fasting, like being distracted is quite helpful.
Yeah. No, that's also true. Some people would like to be busy that day. And one thing that's nice about the yogic fasting is that I've seen is that by around 10:30 or 11 in the morning, the stomach knows. It says, okay, this is a fasting day, and it shuts down. And it's not like you're calling for food all day. Like on a normal eating day, you had something in the morning, then you miss your lunch, and you're like, oh, you're so hungry. It's not like that on fasting day. The stomach shuts down. I can feel it, and I never get hunger pains on fasting day. But other days when I'm scheduled to eat, I'm quite hungry at that. But on fasting day, not. The body shuts down. It knows, okay, no water's coming in, no food's coming in. It's and then it starts getting into its rejuvenative process, and so that's not an issue. So basically, if anyone's concerned that they'll have to not attend to their daily duties that day, that's a false assumption. That they will be okay that day to pursue what the normal pursuits, the normal things. Yeah, and so with fasting, it really turns into more like one can take a glass of water before the sun rises. I usually don't. So basically, whenever I ate my dinner the night before, and then so let's say I'm fasting on Tuesday, like we discussed. I would eat my dinner Monday night, and then wake up on Tuesday, and then go through that whole period of day and night without taking anything, and then the next morning we would do what we call we would break our fast. And there's a whole process about that, which we will discuss. Because I was living with one acharya in India, and he looked at me and he said, "Do you know how to break fast?" I said, "I've been fasting for 6 years regularly. I know exactly how." He looked at me. He says, "I don't think you know how." And he was right. I didn't know how. I didn't for 6 years. I didn't know the real system for breaking fast. And then he looked at me and he said, "Remember, even the animals fast, but the animals don't know how to break fast. Human beings should know how to break fast." And so his point was, fasting is good, but you got to break the right way. Otherwise, you don't get all the benefit. That was his point.
I want to hear how to do it then, because
yeah, we will go over that. This idea of fasting, people should know that that there's lots of different fasts, and if you have health issues, if you're a little bit want to ease into it, one can do a water fast. You can say, okay, I will take you can just carry a water bottle with you all day, or you can say that I'll drink up until noon or till 3 p.m. And then at the rest, I'll try and do the rest without. Or maybe I'll take fruit in the morning, or maybe I'll have a salad in the morning and then fruit. But as you can go less and less with the food, you'll get a greater outcome, because the body becomes more free, because the blood doesn't have to rush to the stomach to work on digestion. And the other thing is that the mind will be more free. And this is, I know that intermittent fasting has become very popular these days, and that's great. I think there's value in it. And I have not spoken to people who do that seriously in their lives. So I can't say, but what I can think, what I can guess in my own mind is that if you're intermittent fasting and you're taking all these little small meals, or however people may do it, the mind is involved in, okay, when am I going to eat next? And what will I have? And how will I prepare it? It's only natural that just like on a normal day, you think, okay, when will I eat? What will it be? But in the yogic system, because you're not taking food, that whole aspect is a null set. It doesn't exist. There's no psychic occupation towards food prep, or taking food, or dependence on food, or wishing for food, or wondering in 2 hours will I eat something. It's eliminated, and there's a certain which appeals to me. I like that aspect, that it's a done deal. It's a non-issue, and that clears up the mind. And there's no, so there's a benefit in that. Mm-hmm. So these are ways to approach the fasting day. That the night. The other thing, some people think, I'm fasting tomorrow, I better overload the night before, and there's not a need for that. Just eat your normal food the night before. Don't feel like you have to eat for a week, and then you'll be so clogged up and bloated on fasting day that you'll hardly get any benefit. So you can eat just a normal amount. And so those are ways to approach the fasting day. And then we can discuss how to break fast, since that's such an important element. And then if there's questions and things, we can go over.
Yeah.
So the key point here, and I have a full handout that if someone writes me, I can go over it. And I used to be at the point where I would only I used to invite people over to my house if they were fasting, and then to come over and break fast with me, because I wanted to show them, and I wanted them to see it, and I felt more comfortable doing it that way, where they were under my supervision. And then, in the digital world, and how many people can you have over at your house, and how many, invariably there's other ways to share the information. But I just want to convey that I always felt that this is not something that should be just kind of, let loose, that I don't want someone to get, you want to be done the right way and to done with care. But naturally, anyone who's interested will be careful with it. So one of the main things with fasting is that, yes, we get a rest. All the major organs get a rest that day because there's no food intake. But nonetheless, the digestive tract still has all that waste material in it. It's actually not flushed. It's concentrated, but it's not flushed. And so the question is how to evacuate that material.
Yeah. And
I've seen people who've done, I've seen other groups have similar, this idea. So, and what it is that on breaking fast day, well, let me say what I used to do. I used to do when I thought I knew. We had been told that you're supposed to take lemon water. And so I remember sitting there with my brother, we would take a little squeeze lemon water and a little pinch of salt, and we'd take like half a sip, and then we'd start kind of eating fruit or things. And then just depending how ravenous we felt, or how kind of greedy we felt, like food greed or whatever you want to call it. And I don't know how I survived that. I was in my early 20s. And I remember sometimes we would have even buns, or we were vegan, but we were, so it was, because it was mostly that and a banana. We wouldn't even eat the banana. We would eat maybe part of the banana and then start mixing other food in. And it was, I survived it, but it wasn't good. So then that one yogi, that one acharya who I was living with, he taught me. He said, it's true, you take lemon water, and it's true you use banana, but it should be done in the proper way. When it's time to break, take warm up water, about 3 or 4 liters worth of water. Then I take a bowl that I always use, and I take about 2 teaspoons of salt and put it in there. And then I squeeze about half a lime or half a lemon in there. And I just mix the salt and the lime or lemon. Now, in the yogic system, taking lemon salt water every morning is good. But in that situation, you're taking half a lemon or maybe a full lemon and a pinch of salt, and you drink it in the morning. And that's good every morning. It's alkaline. It helps with digestion. It's good. What I'm describing now is not meant to be done every morning, only on breaking fast day. And one should never drink this amount of salt on a regular basis, only on that day, because actually the salt will not be absorbed. It'll be rocket fueled out. So when it's lemon salt water is a great thing, but you take a pinch, and that's on a daily basis, just a little bit. It's kind of like creating your homemade Gatorade without any of the chemicals. It's salt, you're getting lemon and salt, you're getting your electrolytes. It's alkaline, it's wonderful. This is different. When the system is fully empty, when the food's been digested, because that's what's happened. You've had a 36-hour window of no food or drink. Then you start 2 teaspoons of salt, half a lemon, and then you fill it with warm water, about a liter. And you drink it as fast as you can, comfortably for you. And then what I do is then you do another one. So now you've got about 2.5 liters. And so that's in, and then I'll do one more round. Now I have taught this to students and they've gotten success with it. Then I'll do a third bowl without lemon or salt water, without lemon, but with just a pinch of salt, just to give myself more water. So, and then one will feel maybe a little bit, it should feel relatively comfortable for the stomach. You may not like the taste of that heavy salt water, but what it does, then you walk around, you bend, don't sit still, bend, trunk, side bend this way, side bend that way, trunk turns, don't bend forward. Forward folds will push on the stomach. Don't do that, but stand up, walk, listen to your favorite podcast, do whatever you'd like, but don't be too far away from the restroom. Because within an hour, you'll feel a sensation in your stomach you've probably never felt before.
Wow.
And you will be like, I have to go to the bathroom.
Oh my gosh.
And you will sit and it will evacuate. It will pull, all the salt will go out, but it will pull all the solid fecal material, depending how much you're backed up, hopefully not too much. Hopefully you're defecating every day, but it will pull all that, the dark, and it will be smelly. That will come out. All the solid will come out. Then it'll progressively go to brownish, and sooner than at the end, you will not be able to tell what came out of your rear end with the clear toilet water.
Wow.
And then you'll know I flushed my system.
Wow. Oh my God, I want to try this. When did
now
we
this
have the full moon, Satyam, on Halloween?
Yeah, I just broke fast.
Yeah. So when is our 11 days? What would that be? Would that be the 10th?
Yeah, something like that. I don't. Every day, every year, when I get my new calendar, the first thing I do, I mark all the fasting days on it. The full, and there's a scientific chart to do it, because you have to decide. There's a starting and an end time to it, and yeah, you have to see what day is the fasting day. Now, also, I should say with the yogic fasting day, life is busy. You can do it the day of, the day before, or the day after. So let's say you're doing Ekadashi. Typically Ekadashi would be, it's always 11 days after new and full moon, and it usually lands 3 days before the next new or full moon.
Okay.
Then you can do it. Let's say the Ekadashi is on Friday. Then you can fast Thursday, Friday, or Saturday. Because you'll still get the benefit. That you can still do it, and that you have that little window.
Well, I'm going to try this. I'm ready to do this.
Yeah.
It should be the
Now,
10th.
one thing is there's something known as over-breaking. That means that you're continuing to drink lemon salt water and you're starting to draw out all the key bacteria that's in the stomach lining. And you don't want to do that. So what I do now, and I have done that in the past, in my exuberance, I'm going to get my body super clean this time. And by doing that, it can bring weakness. I never feel weakness anymore. Put it this way, I can break fast at 6 a.m. and then be teaching a yoga class by 9. And that means start drinking, take an hour and a half to clear everything, and then a quick refueling, and then be in class by 9. So it used to take us all day. We're like breaking fast day. We'd be there going onto the bathroom all day, but we now we've become extremely efficient at it. It can be done very quickly and speedy. But the first time, don't plan anything all morning. Just make sure, just learn how your body responds. And it's not, just give yourself time. So, because you're going to get pulled to the bathroom again and again. And it's like anything in life. You'll gain confidence with it. You'll gain confidence. And you'll be able to get really efficient at it. When I first learned this system, and I told my brother, hey, I just got back. We thought we weren't doing it right. And so we started doing this new system. And it was a little time consuming for us at the beginning. And there's two other things to think about. If one puts too much salt in, everybody's body weight is different. Everybody's constitution is different. If you put too much salt in your mixture, it can lead to nausea and even people vomiting. I've never personally done that. I've seen it with people. They oversalted their mixture. If you undersalt your mixture, you won't get the evacuation, and you'll feel totally bloated and full and really salty and not good. So you got to get that point where it should be basically the degree that you can tolerate with salt, based on without overdoing it, without feeling nauseous. And if you go too light on the salt, or if you take too much time to drink it, don't drink it over the course of 4 hours. I'll drink my first liter with that salt in 2 or 3 minutes. I'll get it down as quickly as I can. And as quickly as I can get the other one down, I'll get it. And then I'll kind of sip on that third one, which is really just kind of putting water with a little bit of salt in the system. And then I'll get that heaviness that I feel, that body, that the stomach will feel a little bit full, and that it should. And then you'll start getting that gurgling in the stomach, and you're like, okay, it's about time. And then it'll start to let loose and come out. And when you do that, you just feel so light and free. It's so wonderful. But if you continue to drink lemon salt water, you will strip out. And what we've noticed is that it'll make the toilet water foamy. I've made it foamy be passed. And what we think that is, the stomach some of the from the stomach lining. It's nothing dangerous, but you don't want to do that. You don't want to strip it. It's just meant to clear all the solid and brown, and then it'll. So there's a fine line. If anyone has any questions, write me. I love to discuss fasting. I love to discuss the technique for breaking fast. I've coached people over the phone with it. I'll always help. So that's no problem. But because it is, no one on their first time by doing it alone. I've had a lot of students get success. I've like a 50-point chart for how to do it from A to Z. You write me, I'll send the chart to you. It's something I designed or wrote out. And but it is just the greatest feeling. I always love to do that and then sit for meditation, because you just feel like you're just sitting on clouds. You just feel so lovely because the stomach is empty. You may not want to sit for long meditation because you are going to need to rehydrate, and we're going to discuss that, how to do that and how to use the banana and all that. But it's just a very sweet feeling. And it's wonderful. So yeah. So and you really feel like I did something. Sometimes people will sit for meditation and they'll say nothing happened. But you practice. But this, no one will ever say nothing happened. You will know something happened.
Wow. Yeah. You said teaspoons of salt per a liter of water. About.
Yeah, but it can, people's body weight, people's constitution is a little bit different. Generally, I do 2 flat, maybe a little less than 2. I've been trying to do it with a touch, just a little less salt. And I will generally take when I know that it's going on, I will ease off it, and I'll stop drinking. One will start to feel a great thirst. You're going to want to, after the third batch with just a pinch of salt is actually starting to rehydrate the system a little bit. But then you'll have a great desire to take just pure water, because you did a dry fast for 36 hours. If you do the dry fast style, then naturally the body's dehydrated. And what this mixture that you made was not for hydrating the body. That mixture was for evacuating everything. And then you're going to want to take some pure water to start to hydrate the cells and get the body. And then you take a little bit of a gap from your pure water. Take a little bit of gap, give it 10 or 15 minutes. And then you can take a banana. And one of my students was like, that was the best tasting banana I ever had. The reason why banana, it's soft, it coats the stomach lining, it's not acidic, it's just very good food to have. And what I do now, when I feel like my fasting, that I've cleared everything, I take a bunch of bananas, put water, immersion blender, and I'll make it into like a banana drink.
Okay.
And that way I'm getting my hydration and my nutrition. It's speedy for me, and I like to do. I'll take a big bowl of banana water, but it's a banana smoothie, whatever you want to call it. But not. I just do it with water and banana, but it's quite tasty. And and that way I get both my hydration and my energy boost at the same time.
Now, how long do you wait to eat the banana? Like, is that something you do regardless of when you're evacuating the body, or do you wait until all that's done?
You pretty much wait till you're really towards the tail end of it. When you'll see, I mean, it's quite graphic. You'll see the brown physical matter. It's solid. And then you'll see that the brownish water. And if you look down each time, you'll see it gets lighter brown, lighter till it's tan, and then yellow, and then basically clear. Just about clear.
That's
so then your system is clean. It's great.
I'm so excited to try this. So I am in the final 2 months of a 12-month, 500-hour Ayurveda certification to be an Ayurveda practitioner. And so we've talked about, of course, lemon water and fasting and things like that, and Kachari cleanses and different things. And also the ghee, like ghee or clarified butter enemas and all those things. But I've never heard this, and I'm so excited. I want to try this. I'm like, what is the next mood cycle? I'm totally going to try this.
No, it's great. It's so wonderful. And I feel like this is like one of my main lifelines, that whatever, no matter whatever out of sync I am, whatever. And the great thing about it is that it's regular. I feel like I could be blindfolded and put down somewhere, and if I just close my eyes, I can know if it's a fasting day or not, that where I am in that cycle, because the body's become so routinized with it, and it looks forward to it, just like a good run does for someone, or anything that's become part of your regular process. And that's why I really like the yogic system, as opposed to some people who'll do like once a year, they'll take like some type of pineapple juice fast. And but the fact of the matter is, you're only cleansing once. You only clear the system once. And it's like using a whole roll of toilet paper on September 1st each year, and then waiting again till September 1st the next year. That doesn't do it. You got to clean regularly. And doing a whole roll on one day isn't going to keep you clean the whole year.
Yeah.
And same thing with fasting. The body naturally, as soon as you start eating again, it's going to create that extra waste. And people put food on top of food on top of food, and you have to be careful. You should only eat when you're hungry. Don't eat out of stress, and all those types of good rules, which are really hard to follow. So the yogic system, it gets you in check, because you're never going to be, whether you do 2 or 4 a month, you're never going to be 2 weeks further than 2 weeks away from your last fast. And it just brings us, it resets the system so nicely.
It sounds so good. Like my body, like I can feel my cells light up. Like, I want to do this. I want to do this.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Anyone can do it. It really gives you a chance for pause in life. It regenerates the system. There's just so many wonderful benefits to it, and you feel like you're living in lockstep with the cosmos. That the cosmos has its natural cycle, and it just feels right. It's one of my favorite yogic practices. I always look forward to it. I always know that my system will come out better.
Oh my God, it sounds so great. So with the food, so you eat some banana, or you said you do like a banana smoothie. Then how much longer do you wait before you eat? Because in the paleo keto world, you break your fast with like protein and vegetables and that kind of thing, which can be a lot for your body to process when it hasn't been processing anything. So what does that look like? Do you do liquids and then move to solids? How do you?
The main rule of thumb is to don't put any food in until you feel that hunger. Until one feels hunger. So if one doesn't want to have a banana smoothie, you can just eat 1 or 2 bananas. That's fine. I used to do that all the time. And they should be soft, ripe bananas. If the banana has spots, that doesn't mean it's rotten. It means it's very good. It's a good banana. I know some people want to eat the banana, they don't like the spots, but the spots means that it's so you eat a banana that's nicely ripe and soft, and then you can wait, and then hunger will come. And one of the words that you said, khichdi, I think that's what you talking about, the boiled rice, the watered down rice. Yeah. That is a great thing to have. One can eat that. In India, we used to do it all the time. Khichdi is you're making the rice extremely hydrated, and then cutting up some vegetables and boiling it all into one. It's very soothing for the body. One should not eat any, it should be very well hydrated food. Don't eat bread, don't eat anything that's dry. Eat something that's hydrated. One can work through fruit. Sometimes people have different types of fruit. Because I usually have this banana smoothie, then I'll wait till I'm hungry again, and then I'll eat some type of gentle, like something similar to khichdi, some well-hydrated rice dish. You can use quinoa, you can use millet, but it should be something that's well-hydrated and very, very something that's soothing for the stomach. And then you're pretty much then you can go on your normal eating routine. The main thing is don't bloat the stomach on the first day. Don't go overboard. You don't want to become a patient on the. You just made yourself nice and clean, and you don't want to get caught up with overeating that day. And nor do you want to start mixing food with all the water. So make sure the water's been, as you've been drinking, you've been rehydrating yourself. Let that digest, and it only takes a gap of 10 or 15 minutes between, because the water will get soaked up by the body very quickly, especially if it was a dry fast.
Mm-hmm.
If you're having a banana smoothie, let it settle, let it digest, until you really feel like you're empty and ready to eat. And the good thing about the smoothie is that it gives you enough energy that you feel like you're pretty normalized at that point. Once I've had that, I feel like, okay, I regularly will do that smoothie, and then I'll go teach a yoga class, and I'm fine. I have enough energy to do that with that. But you want to become familiar with the system, and at the first day, one should be really careful about being near the restroom so that they can use the facilities when they need to. So that's the nutshell. It's like anything in life, it needs practice. So people got to go out and do it. And as you do it, then your questions will arise. Hey, this happened. It was slow this time. Or why did it take so long? Or how come? Why did I feel weak? I feel weak-kneed that day. Well, maybe you overbroke. Maybe it was a little too salty, so it's like anything. You do it and you become more refined, and questions will arise that. But I saw a lot of my students with the worksheet I had. They all they could do it. And then the other thing is that make it part of your life. It shouldn't just be for whoever say, "Oh, I did it once. I know what that's about. I got that." It's kind of like saying, your heart doctor says, if you can do a brisk walk every day or a jog every day for 2 miles, that'll be very healthy for you. And then you do it once and you say, "Oh, I got that. I know what that's about. I know that." But no, it's meant to be practice. It's not just satisfying your curiosity of what is it, but the more one does it and the regularity. Like if you say, "I fasted 2 years ago," that has no benefit on your present state of health. That one did it 2 years. It's one of those things like, or if someone says, "Last summer, I had a really healthy meal. And then in the last 300 days, they ate at Burger King every day." That last healthy meal is no longer serving you. So it needs to be inculcated into as best you can, as one can, maybe once a month or twice a month. We benefit not by knowing about the practices, but by doing the practices, and that's where the benefit is. And so it's a process. Be patient and try, and we all get there little by little.
Yeah. Well, and I want to throw in, so the Khichdi, one of the great things, the science behind that I love, because that's part of, I don't talk about it enough on Buddhist Biohacker, because I think we have so much to talk about and go all sorts of directions. But the science with Khichdi, when you cook that rice, and just for everybody out there, organic white jasmine rice is actually the very best rice that you can make Khichdi with, because it is the lowest mycotoxins. It has the lowest mold toxins of any rice. Brown rice is really great for us, but brown rice does have mycotoxins. So for those of you who are sensitive to mold, that is something for you to know. It's also a white rice that is the lowest in sugar. So for those of you who have candida or fungus issues and need to be on a low sugar diet or a diabetic or whatever, who normally do the brown rice, organic white jasmine rice is actually the best of both worlds. So it's really good. So that's what I make my kachori with. But when you make it, when you overcook the rice, like Satyam's talking about, where you overhydrate the rice and you overcook it, it actually reduces the amount of glutamine in the rice. And glutamine can actually impact your brain and your neurotransmitters. So if you have too much of it, it can really make you feel depressed or sluggish or low energy. And so that overcooking helps with that. And overcooking the rice and the vegetables also really helps your liver. So when you go to eat after a fast, like that's one of my go-tos actually, because you not only get the spices, of course, the turmeric and the fennel and the curcumin and all those beautiful things that like help your inflammation, but the reduction of glutamine, the clean rice, the overhydrated or steamed vegetables that are really cooked well, it begins that process. It begins the digestive process in the cooking process so that your body isn't having to overwork. And that actually can help your energy too. So there's my little science tips on that piece as well. And
that was excellent. That was great. And a lot of the yogic families that I knew in India, they were eating, they were called khichdi. They were eating it daily.
I'm totally English sizing the word for sure. Anyway.
No, either way, I don't know. It doesn't make a difference. But I'm sure that, and in India, there's in different parts of India, they may just say it differently as well, which is not at all uncommon for different pronunciations. I always knew it as Kichurii.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So who knows? But yeah. Nonetheless, but they would have it on a regular basis. We would have that was our breakfast a lot of the times.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, I love it. I mean, it really can get addicting, actually. Yeah. Really. And for those of you who have the MTHFR mutation or have issues with folate or methylation of the body, lentils has incredible amounts of folate and B12 and B6. So for me, it's all about as little supplementation as possible. So for me, I don't want to take the B vitamins. My body doesn't like them. So lentils are like your best friend, lentils and mung beans. I try to rotate between the lentils and the mung beans in my khichuris because they're just so good for your body. They just fuel it and it just really can give you so much energy. And one other fun fact is when you do a fast, your weak cells die. They die off and go away because your body's like getting rid of all that and making some new cells. And you need the different pieces that make up the carbohydrate are the building blocks for those new cells. So by putting something like that in your body after a fast, it actually supports those new cells to be even stronger and better. So it's just an oomph that you need after a fast.
Yeah. No, that's well put. And what's nice about those legumes, the mung and the lentil, is that they cook quickly, they hydrate quickly, and they're very easy to digest, as opposed to some of the bigger beans, which are more tough. So yeah.
So true. And they're low in mycotoxins, because if you get into a navy bean, a pinto bean, I'm trying to think of what else. Most of those kinds of beans, especially the beans we eat in America, are typically covered in mold toxins. I hate to tell you guys, mycotoxins. Lentils are low. Mung beans are low. Adzuki beans are low. So those are good ones to stick to because they're just a little bit cleaner. But definitely, rinse your beans. You don't have to soak them, which is nice. Because like you said, Satyam, they cook fast and hydrate quickly. But do rinse them, do make sure they're coming from an organic, non-GMO source. So you stay away from the glyphosate that could be in them too. So
absolutely. Yeah. No, that's great. Yeah. That one could even just do a whole podcast on khichdi and the use of, and different ways to make it and how to use it as a daily food, really, or how to use it as it's great curative ability.
Yeah, we should do that next year. Maybe we'll do that next year because that's a great idea. It's one of my favorites, and you can really do all sorts of fun things with it. Like I've made it with asparagus in the wintertime because it's a winter food, and squash and that kind of thing. And then in the summer, you can do with snap peas and different things. So you can make it a little bit more fun than just doing the same thing every single time.
Yeah, right.
I think, you know, rice covered in clarified butter with turmeric is good any day.
Exactly.
Well, Simon, this has been awesome. I really love all this information. I'm like really excited. I mean, every show you do is so amazing, but this fasting one's awesome because it's such information. And everybody, Satyam's information is in the show notes, so you can write if you want a worksheet. Maybe Satyam, you can send it over to me, and we'll figure out a way to get it up for folks to download on the monthly feature page. When you go to Satyam's playlist, we'll try to figure that out. I'm sure there's a way to do it so that folks can get the support from you. Yeah, great. Sure. Reach out anytime. I'm pretty computer available, and always interested in those, talking to people who have questions about yogic life. And for me, that's great. That's wonderful. That is my food, to talk to people about that. I love it so much. Any words of wisdom before we close up today? Yeah, we can close out. I think I got something here. That there was a young boy, and he used to watch and sit with his father, and his grandfather, who was a tailor. And for years, as the boy was growing up, he'd watch the grandfather, and it would be always the same thing. The grandfather would take a big cloth and take his big, heavy industrial scissors and go right down the cloth, and then take the scissors and drop them on the floor, and then they clang to the floor. And then the grandfather, the tailor, from his turban or from his neck scarf or wherever, he would take a little needle and very tightly work on sewing the cloth. And then he would look at the needle, very satisfied, maybe lick it, or maybe just wipe it off, and then put right back behind his ear or in his turban, wherever it would go. And the boy looked at that, and finally one day he said, "Grandpapa, how come you behave that way when you do your work? Those scissors are expensive. We only have one pair, and they're industrial scissors, and you take the scissors and you drop them down on the floor, and they clank around. And then the needle, we have thousands of needles, and they're so inexpensive, and you look at that needle, and then you put it and you tuck it in the safest place, right where you can easily grab it, and you treat it so delicately." He said, "How come?" And the grandfather looked at him and said, "The value of anything is not its cost, but its overall utility. What effect does it have? The scissors cut, they divide, they shear, and the needle unites. It brings together. It's uniforms. It brings things together. So the beauty and the utility of the needle is much greater than that of the scissors, and that's why I treat the needle with such high regard." And he said that in life, the greatest thing we can do is coalesce, to bring people together, to bring entities together. And when we do that in a nice way, that's one of the greatest things we can do. So the utility is what effect the thing that object or that action has, and not how much the cost involved is. And so unity is our goal here. Oh, that's beautiful. And that's perfect for a day like today in the United States, election day, for sure. Yeah, we should all get our needles out and keep everybody, brothers and sisters, all together. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Satyam. I just love you so much. And you're back next week for our awakening. Yeah, I was going to say, we can take all fasting questions next week too, if anyone has any holdover queries. Yes, for sure. And thank you so much to everyone who's listening, and have an incredible day wherever you are on the planet. We are back on Friday with a special guest from New Zealand. And then Saturday kicks off our marathon live events for 7 days straight. Yes. Yeah, love it. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Satyam. Thank you to everybody. I can't wait to fast. Now I'm going to have to figure out. I'm going to have to wait till after the awakening, I think, probably.
All good. All good. Yeah, we'll get those dates down. So
Yeah.
Great to be here with you as always. You host the best show. It's always a joy to talk to you.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.
Stay well. Namaskar.